And I didn't realize it was happening until I had to listen for the water, and then I was just like, "Oh shit, it's happening!" And it looks so bad.
Yo, it's like a lot of liquid. It's just like
it's
like
unnecessary.
a hose.
It's unnecessary.
Welcome back to another episode of Nerds of the Rounds, guys. We're in October, Halloween. Sorry you hear the echo.
Baby.
Spooky season going on.
As the news anchors call it, spooky season.
Ooh.
Listen. I'm just here for all the horror, the cool costumes, and all the candy and joy.
Well, I'm your host, Sebastian.
It's your boy Law.
And your boy Tone from across the hall.
And joining us again for spooky season, you know him as the creator of Surrounded by Death, Sartana, and The Pawn. Give it up for Johnny C.
Let's go.
So
what's up, man? Fellas? Glad to be back. Thank you for having me back.
Dude,
Johnny, you're always welcome.
We couldn't have this one without you.
Can't have B-list horror movie talk without Johnny C.
that would be that'd be sacrilegious.
So we went down a B-list hole for you guys, the B-list of horror movies.
Originally Seabass over here wanted to be like, yo guys, watch all these bad movies. And we were like, listen.
He gave us a list of 8. Mind you, my man was getting ready for a move, and we're like, yo, I can't watch 8 shit movies.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody got what? Come on now. Shoot. He over here thinking people got like free time. Like, what's
Seriously, man.
But
we all had the luxury of picking our own one from the list.
Yes. I picked 2 because I'm extra. That's me.
You said it. You're just confirming what we all know.
Yeah.
But we all picked one, and it was a B-list horror movie from like early 90s, 80s kind of thing. But when you hear them, you will know them, and you will either appreciate them, never heard of them, and you'll look out for them, or you'll just be like, why? Yes. So, Rawhead Rex, Leviathan, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Deep Rising, Child's Play, Galaxy of Terror, Pumpkinhead, Extro 2, Second Encounter.
Word.
Now, from this list, I took a call out, and I was like, nah, I'm going Boys from the Hood, or Tales from the Hood. Because it gives you all of the comedy, like bad CGI, bad, like it's so bad it's good.
It's everything.
The story, it's all of it.
It's got a total package like effort when you watch it.
Absolutely. But everyone go around. I got Tales from the Hood. Tell me what you got.
I took Rawhead Rex, not knowing what I got myself into and going basically off the name.
Oh man, Johnny C, what was your movie?
I'm pretty sure I can speak well to Deep Rising. I watched that several times throughout high school and in subsequent years. Primarily because it's Stephen Sommers, who, if you're familiar with his work, I mean, the more mainstream stuff he did was the first G.I. Joe movie or like The Mummy. But like his roots were in horror, and one of his first movies is Deep Rising. It's like fun adventure, but it's also like very much a horror movie as well, you know? It's a little bit like Aliens, but like a lot more funner. Because like there's the whole gang of people who are trapped on a vessel and like they're fighting like these creatures, you know?
I went with Leviathan.
What defines a A-list horror film? Like something that's like top tier, like, you know, great marks across the board versus a B-list movie. Now, mind you, not to say B-list horror or any B-list movie in general is, you know, bad. It usually the nostalgia of it helps like hold it in higher regards for us. But how do you grade something that's like instant classic? It hits all the notes, whatever the case is, and then like something else that's like, yeah, that's definitely B-list. Like that's.
I know
it's definitely the bench.
Like I know for me, I have this thing where I mix horror and monster together. Okay. So it's hard for me to distinguish the two. So like Mount Rushmore movies, which I consider Predator, I consider Aliens. Like those are like all those movies that I really are like. These are like horror monster movies that I was like really into, and I tend to hold like most monster movies that I watch afterwards to those.
That's
and
fair.
It's kind of hard to. It's really just hard to beat them, especially like Aliens. Aliens is just masterpiece.
You oh,
You know,
Amen.
and another horror monster movie that I like. I don't know if people think it as real as good as as what it is. I enjoyed The Relic from like the middle '90s.
I was just thinking, literally, dude. I was just thinking of The Relic. It was in my head.
Yeah, it's that happens in a museum. They bring this crate over from the Amazon forest, and this creature comes out, starts killing all these folks during like a gala event, and then they get locked in, and they got to take care of it.
I love the twist of that.
I feel like I've seen like the poster for it, but I don't remember if I saw
definitely
it.
seen the poster for it because it came out in the '90s. Like it was one of those movies where like my parents watched it and I couldn't watch it.
What was the twist? What was the twist in it, Johnny?
The twist in that movie was that the creature was actually a human being, and he had metamorphosized and evolved into like this creature. So like that was like the whole kind of twist of it, and like I think it came in like you said, like it was a shipment from like it was like a sarcophagus or something.
Yeah, it was like a crate or something, and then then they're at the gala, and then that's when it kind of starts to do its thing.
Yeah,
It's just eating people's heads and all that.
CGI, like for its time, it was like late '90s, so like it was just coming off the cusp of Jurassic Park, but like it was pretty good for what it was, you know.
Also at that time too, you had Mimic. Mimic was out there too at that time.
Oh yeah, Mimic was
another one. That one is for those who do not like cockroaches.
I watched Mimic in grade school. I don't know why they put it on for us, but I remember watching Mimic in grade school.
Tone, you have your Mount Rushmore, but that's pretty much like standard for most people. I would feel like if you're looking into the sci-fi horror, monster
I mean, aside from the story. Aside from the story being perfect, I think just the fact that just the use of practical effects of these movies just stands the test of time.
I think any movie that has practical effects, you see it like it just you see it.
It doesn't age. It's timeless.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a 4K Ultra HD version of Aliens or Predator and pop it in and be like, oh, when did this come out? 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think costume has a lot to do with it because if you get something that's like a really cheesy costume, then it kind of brings it down to that notch of like trying to be like super serious or super funny or like it takes you out of it because you're just looking at this costume like, yeah, I can't deal I can deal with the cheesy gore and the cheesy effects and all that stuff, but like if it's just a dude in a jumpsuit, it'll throw me. And that's kind of when it comes down, which is kind of what I felt with Rawhead Rex, because I felt the costume was just like super latexy. And then he had these red eyes, and it was just what?
Johnny, what is your definition of like what makes something A team, A tier, and what's a B-list movie? Like what are those definitions for you?
So just as I guess a disclaimer, and like how Tone was saying that he like mixes genres sometimes and like kind of lumps things in. So like I would always consider a thriller also a horror movie. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So I feel like horror like could be anything. If it scares you, it's horror. Like I feel like
So like to that regard, like considering thrillers as a horror movie, I think some of your A-list is like based upon like the quality of the talent that's in the film and the quality of the like director or production team. So like two good examples of A-list horror movies that come off like just to the top of my head is like The Shining and Silence of the Lambs.
Oh
right?
Yeah.
So like those are kind of more A-list. Then you look at the flip sides, like B-list is like where it's like maybe bad or not bad, but like there's things that like prevent it from being like a more appreciated on like a higher class scale or like a higher quality level or however you want to cut it, because it's like whatever, critically acclaimed if you want to say, but like you look at something like Critters, where like Critters is like critically like acclaimed as a cult classic, and there's like cult fans of it, and it's like a good horror movie, and it's got good blends of sci-fi, but like you look at it and it's just like, especially in today's context with CGI and things like that, it's like a bunch of puppets running around biting people.
Psycho Muppets.
Scary, but like it was super scary back in the day. You know what I mean? So it's just like there's that kind of level. So like you can consider Critters like while it's being like critically a cult classic, it's also kind of a B movie.
Scream took a lot of those horror tropes that we all grew up and loved, threw them out the window, and that's the same thing. Like when you look at Aliens, Aliens
took out all those slasher movies and were like, this is why they like what's this dude's name? Was it Randy, the kid, the movie kid,
the movie buff, Randy? Yeah.
he's like, if you're this, you're gonna die. If you're this, you're gonna die. And you're seeing it. You're just like, yo. At one point, everyone in that movie theater guaranteed thought Randy was the killer. To throw in loops like, yo, there's two killers. It completely took everything, on its head.
Yeah.
That's such a wonderful twist. Like, that's one of the movies I can think back to, and I think that's kind of what makes Scream kind of like the quality of what it is that, like you said, it broke things down in so many ways. It was very self-referential. So, like, even at the time when it came out, horror movies were critically lacking at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it kind of celebrated horror movies, but also, like poked fun at them, right? But then it also took itself seriously enough to give you this really dope, like, not really seen before twist of, multiple killers,
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. Like, I think there's only a handful of movies that have such wonderful twists. That and Saw.
Yeah,
probably
that's what I was going to bring up,
that's
saying, like Saw coming out, like Saw having that same effect that Scream did of like, yo, did you watch Saw? I'm like, all right. And then no one tells you how Saw ends. It's like one of those
have to watch it.
Where it's like, all right, I'm going to put this on. Don't ask me no questions. Just let it happen. And you're going to be like, what? He was there the whole time?
Like, it's one of those things too, like, you really gotta hand it to, like, the directors, the writing team, because, like, how, like, those stories are told where, like, the person and the killer could be in the same room together, a thin wall apart, and you're watching from, like, both perspectives, not realizing how close they are. So it's just like, and you're just like, oh shit! Like, when they do the flashbacks of everything, you're
that's
just
the
like,
best part of Saw is just when the iconic music starts and it's just him just doing the B-roll talk, and he's talking about everything, and that leads up to him just getting up, and you're like, what the
real formula of why, like, usually a first movie's great, particularly horror movies. First movie's great, and, like, the 7 after them are terrible. Is that, like, they have all this time to develop the first movie, right? And to make it what it is. And then as soon as it's a smash hit, they're like, okay, you have to repeat that in less than a year.
I think Aliens was an exception because exception to that rule because there were two different directors. Because the second director was James Cameron, went with a whole different direction that worked so perfect for the movie.
And there were years apart though on that too. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sebastian. It was like you had Alien in 78, I think, or 79, and then you had like Aliens in 84. So like there was some breathing room between those two movies where it could reinvent itself to be an action horror movie. You know what I mean?
And it worked so perfect. But then it's like, I go, what list for B movies is because when you see a formula that works, there are a lot of movies that try to copy it. Like when I was putting together that list of creature features, Extero 2 Second Encounter kind of copies that Aliens formula with the team that goes in there going to take out an extraterrestrial. And it's like, oh, all shit's going crazy.
Rising, a movie I was referring before, is like, it's literally an Aliens copycat in the same manner, because it's like you have this team, they're supposed to knock off this like ocean liner, and then they become the team fighting these like tentacle monsters. You know what I mean? And it becomes like the same alien formula. It's like when it works, and you can see it's repeated, continually. You know what I mean?
But it had a funny ending, though. I love the ending for Deep Rising. So, Johnny, give everybody the synopsis of Deep Rising.
So, Deep Rising is basically there is a squad of robbers, mercenary robbers, that board this ocean liner, and their intent is to knock it off because there's a lot of rich individuals on board. What they don't know and they don't realize is that there is like a tentacle creature or creatures that are permeating through the boat, and slowly but surely they start to knock everybody off, and then it ultimately becomes a survival game, and it becomes this game with the mercenaries of basically surviving and making it to the end, and getting away with the money, and having this, in defeating these creatures. And then ultimately you have Treat Williams, who's like the hero guy, who, again, like you said before, isn't your typical hero, but also like he's like one of the villain guys too. So it's just like he betrays them in a way, and like you're you're kind of rooting for the bad guy. And there's just all different personalities too. Like you have your typical funny guy, you have like, the damsel in distress, you have the badass babe, like all the components, basically all the components of Aliens are there. But, like if you were to say, Die Hard on a boat, like this is like Aliens on an ocean line.
I like that.
Nice.
When the movie is bad, you talk to your boys about it. You look at each other like, yo, dude, are we watching?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's one scene in this movie that where
right, so it's your turn.
I needed my boys to be like, yo, why am I watching this?
Did you see the zipper in the back of that guy's suit?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It's that bad. Did I avoid
No. It's not even a costume thing. It is literally a scene.
What is it?
Okay, I'll just tell you. So like you get to the end of the movie and you got the deacon type of dude who is like seeing or as is the co-conspirator with Rawhead Rex trying to be like, oh yeah, he's our God, he's the real God. And they're at the church and he's there kneeling. And then the other priest who didn't believe any of the stuff that the protagonist was telling him about, he hears like the beast just yelling and screaming, goes out to the graveyard and he's walking around and he sees his boy on the kneeling and you see Rawhead Rex and you see the deacon dude like this and Rawhead Rex pisses on him. He baptizes him with his piss. I was like, I'm done. What the I just watched.
Wow.
I was like, are you serious? And then later in the movie, the deacon's going after the priest as he's hiding in like the crypt. He's like, yeah, he needs to baptize you. I'm like, no.
No.
I don't need demon piss on me. What is this?
Did you find the video?
Of course I did. Yo, let me share the screen. That shit is garbage, bro.
Basura.
So I'm like, what the?
I'm like, yo, this.
I was done.
Pause this for like 2 seconds.
Wait, but what's really funny is that he catches them like he's in the middle of an act, and now he goes nuts going after this priest. Like, well, you call me pissing on this dude? Ah!
Yo, that's exactly what it looks like.
Look, this is yeah.
All right, I'm waiting for the scene to happen, and it started, and I didn't realize it was happening until I had to listen for the water, and then I was just like, "Oh shit, it's happening!" And it looks so bad.
Yo, it's like a lot of liquid. It's just like it's like a hose.
It's unnecessary.
No, but the priest doesn't help because he's like,
It's the priest that makes it more funny and awkward, more so than the act itself, right? If it was just a close up of like the monster peeing on the dude, like you've been like whatever, right? But like the priest reacting,
I think the priest reacting made it better and worse. Like it's worse.
But and then you got the deacon dude just loving it, just wanting to be in the shower. It was.
What sucks you guys in more? Is it the villain that can almost feel real or is very like charismatic and captivating or whatever the case is, or is it the unknown, like that monstrous, like what lurks in the deep, what's behind my closet, the ghost kind of stuff? Or on the very other end of the spectrum, we have like just people in general, like the scream factor, where you're like, it's my best friend, or it's my like, what's that level for you?